Elite Facts presents
When Sharks Attack, 8 horrific shark encounters you won't believe.
8.
Bethany Hamilton. Let's start off with a fairly well-known story about a 13-year-old surfer called Bethany Hamilton. Hamilton was surfing the tunnels off Kauai with her friend Alana Blanchard. It was all fun and games until a shark decided it wanted in on the fun. While Hamilton was lying on her board with her arm dangling in the water, the shark bit into her and her board. The bite itself was strong enough to take her arm off just below the shoulder. Blanchard helped Hamilton back to shore, where Blanchard's father made a tourniquet that saved her life. It's believed that the attack was made by a 14-foot tiger shark. The shark itself is estimated to have weighed nearly 1,400 pounds. This shark has since been caught by local fishermen and is now dead. Now, even though Hamilton lost an arm, that didn't stop her from following her dream, as she went on to rank as one of the top 10 professional women surfers in the world.
7.
Jersey Shore victims. Now, of course, we're not talking about that dreadful show about Jersey douchebags who get tanned up and act like a bunch of assholes down the shore. I mean, technically, anyone who does watch that show is a Jersey Shore victim, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Instead, we're talking about a horrifying shark incident that took place in New Jersey that spanned over the course of 10 days during a heat wave along the shore. As thousands of tourists hugged the shoreline for some relief, the feeding frenzy began. Charles Van Sant was attacked during an evening swim. Charles Bruder was attacked 5 days later. 3 more people, including a 12-year-old boy, were attacked at Matawan Creek, 30 miles north. 4 of the shark attack victims died. Experts debated whether the attacks were made by a great white or a bull shark.
6.
Rodney Fox, 1963. So although no limbs were lost in this story, Rodney Fox suffered possibly one of the worst shark attacks in history and lived to tell the tale. Fox sustained several severe injuries at the hands, or teeth we should probably say, of a massive great white shark back in December of 1963. These injuries included the likes of a punctured diaphragm, pierced scapula, and ripped lung. His rib cage and upper stomach were completely exposed, and rescuers, after pulling him from the water, had to keep his wetsuit on in order to pretty much keep him together, as apparently the injuries were so severe that removing his wetsuit would have caused his internal organs to simply spill out. 4 hours of extensive surgery and 450 stitches later, Rodney Fox lived to tell his tale of being attacked by a great white, and is regarded as a miracle survivor of one of the worst shark attacks in history. Fox was defending his Australian spearfishing title when he wrangled with the great white. The shark grabbed him by his torso, but Fox gouged the beast in the eyes and it released him. On the second strike, Fox was able to pull his arm from the shark's mouth. However, the shark came back again, this time dragging Fox along the ocean floor before finally releasing him. Since the attack, Rodney Fox has become one of the foremost authorities on the great white shark. He's credited with designing the first underwater shark observation cage and has been involved in numerous expeditions, documentaries, and feature films about the great white, working with scientific researchers from 16 different countries. In 2007, Fox was inducted into the International Scuba Hall of Fame.
5.
Shirley Anne Duran, 1985. Despite the fact that Australia has a bad reputation concerning the threat of shark attacks, among other things, spiders, snakes, crocs, just to name a few, according to the Australian shark attack file, there have been only 61 human fatalities in the last 50 years. That's 1.22 per year, which is approximately the same average as Florida. But where did this bad reputation even come from? Well, that's what we're going to go over right now, so be patient. So if you're quite knowledgeable about sharks and previous shark attacks, the name Shirley Anne Duran should ring a bell. The 33-year-old housewife and mother of 4 was snorkeling for scallops in Peak Bay when, without warning, she was attacked by a great white in 7-foot deep water. The scary thing is that the attack happened only 150 yards away from the shore. It was there that Durden's husband and children watched as the shark brutally tore her in two. News sources state that when rescuers arrived, all that remained was the victim's headless torso, and the great white circled back and took that too. It was the first shark attack in South Australian waters in over 10 years. Witnesses estimated the shark to be 20 feet long.
4,
Barry Wilson, 1952. Next up, we have a shark tale from the 1950s. 17-year-old Barry Wilson was swimming near Lover's Point off the Californian coast in 1952. Onlookers who could see Wilson swimming from the shoreline saw him suddenly jerk up in the water slightly before being dragged around from side to side. The young tuba player then screamed before witnesses saw a shark rearing out of the water to attack him from the front and drag him under. Wilson resurfaced seconds later, screaming and flailing his arms in a pool of blood. 5 fellow swimmers desperately fought for half an hour to drag Wilson back to the beach through the rough surf. Unfortunately, Barry Wilson bled out before they could even make it to the shore.
3,
USS Indianapolis, 1945. So this story is quite an infamous one, especially if you've heard Quint tell it in the movie Jaws. On July 25, 1945, the USS Indianapolis delivered the world's first operational atomic bomb to the island of Tinian. 5 days later, the U.S. warship was sent unescorted to Leyte Gulf in the Philippines in preparation for the invasion of Japan. On July 30th, however, midway between Guam and Leyte Gulf, an enemy Japanese submarine shot 6 torpedoes at the USS vessel, 2 of which hit their mark. The first torpedo hit the bow, and the second struck near the fuel tank, splitting the warship in 2. Of the 1,196 military personnel on board, 300 sailors went down with the ship, and 900 who managed to escape the wreckage were tossed into the shark-infested Pacific Ocean. It was an out-of-the-frying-pan and into-the-fire type situation. At sunrise the following day, shoals of oceanic white-tipped sharks started circling the sailors. When rescuers arrived 5 days later, nearly 600 sailors of the 900 who escaped the wreckage were pronounced dead. Reports state that the sharks who inhabited these waters had chewed most of the crew to pieces. Only 317 people survived the maritime disaster, one of whom was Woody James, who later said, quote, "The sharks were around, hundreds of them. Everything would be quiet, and then you'd hear somebody scream, and you knew a shark had got him."
2,
David Lilienfeld, 2013. David Lilienfeld was a 20-year-old champion bodybuilder who was spending the day with his family at the beach when tragedy struck in 2013. As he was getting into the water, he was almost immediately attacked by a shark. Bystanders had to bear witness to this shark horrifically biting and tearing into Lilienfeld's right leg. He was carried away to an ambulance where he was soon after pronounced dead.
1,
Omar Conger, 1984. Back in 1984, 2 free-diving partners were off the coast of Santa Cruz. Conger and his diving partner, Chris Rem, were a long way from shore, nearly 500 feet, or 150 meters, and about 15 feet, or 4.4 meters, apart, when he took a moment to tread water and rest. Out of nowhere, a huge 16-foot great white shark grabbed Conger, shook him, and pulled him under. A few seconds later, the shark surfaced with Conger still in its mouth and headed straight for Rem. Rem fortunately escaped and tried to call for help, but his partner Conger was dead before the call could even be made. And that's our list. Did we leave any shark attack stories that you know about out? Well, let us know in the comments below. Please remember to subscribe and tap the bell button to be notified when new videos are uploaded. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more Elite Facts.